Hello, hello, hello. I'm Anthony Frazer, and this is us diving into my EP, Liminal. This song is Runnin', and I hope you guys are ready. All right, so the first verse, I am going to read you guys each verse, each part of this song, and we're going to dive into it. I bet you think my love is out of spite. Not everyone is out to kill your vibe. I know you're lost. I know you're hurt. I feel your burns. Don't you even dare. Question my heart. Question your worth. It's so crazy because this song originally started out as a track from a friend of mine. His name is Cameron, and his artist name is Raspberry with Z's. Raspberry. Razzberrie. Okay. He wrote this part and he kind of had this already written, right? And he sent it to me like back in like 2015. And I had gone back through things that I was sending him. I was looking for a specific song because he wrote a song about a relationship I was in at the time. I think it was called like Strawberry Love or something like that. And I ran into this other clip and I was like, what is this? And I fell in love with like this. And I honestly, like after listening to it right away, had like the follow-up, like what was coming after the verse, you know, like what was coming up next. I wrote almost the entire song by myself, just sitting there. And then I was kind of like, I wonder like where this song will go on a journey, you know? And so it wasn't until 5 years later or 4 years later that we were doing the compilation album for Reflections, and I was recording it at his house. He helped me produce the album, and I was telling him, I was like, I have this song and I really, really want it to be like this big thing. I just kind of want to finish it. And I was hoping that like you weren't going to use it because it's been like 5 years. And he was like, yeah, you're right. I'm not actually going to use it. Like, it's fine. You can have it. And I was like, okay. I was like, I'll still give you writing credit, producing credit, all that stuff. He was like, all right. And so him and I sat down and worked out the rest of the song and like how I kind of heard it, where we were structuring, where we were going. And we really gave it like the skeleton of the music, right? And this is one of those times that I was able to like fully go in and make the beat exactly how I wanted to make it. And it felt so liberating doing it in this way. But I, again, also being a perfectionist, it took so much out of me, okay? Literally so much. And it took years to even get it to be what it is. So then I kind of like tweaked a couple of things while I was in school learning about production, came up with, you know, different elements to put into the beat. I know I was like so focused on putting a harp and a piano in this, and that was like basically what I wanted. I wanted this to be like my Every Time by Britney Spears. So that's kind of like where the inspiration for the song was kind of leading to, but also kind of going off of the lyrics. I knew that he was writing this from a relationship standpoint, and I was kind of focused on doing it from a self-reflection standpoint, and kind of like me talking to who I want to be, you know, like me talking to the artist me talking from the artist down to little me and back and forth, you know, like us having that conversation about where we're going and what we're doing and how we're getting there and how we're moving about these things, right? So then I wound up writing the rest of this. Tell me why you feel the need to leave. I thought maybe you and me could be something nobody else could reach, but you gotta let me in. Immediately, again, being focused on Every Time, I was hearing these like, running. I kept hearing this in my head, right? Like, just like, and I was like, how do I fit this in? How do I fit this in? And I was like, this could be the chorus. Like, it could be a negative chorus and it could just be like, just bleeding all over the track, just bleed all over the chorus and just really like yearn. And I kind of like remembered back to Justin Timberlake's Future Sex Love Sounds album and Until the End of Time that he does a remix with Beyonce. I just really love the way that he kind of played with that. He was kind of like that, So I was like, oh, let me go into that as well. Like, let me just play with these like oohs and ahs in my head voice and stuff like that. And so that's what I did. And so, yeah. So this part is like, running, 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 running. Then we get into the second verse, which again is now me just writing all out. So the chorus and this part, all me. I'm out of line because I speak the truth. If only you could see the real you. You're hurt, you're fighting for your worth. You write your words so you can heal the pain, but you still hide behind your vein. That is so important to me because it's like, even talking about like how I write music and what I go through and this and that and like the whole imposter syndrome of it. It's kind of like myself outside of music, it's kind of like me talking to myself right there. It's I'm out of line because I speak the truth. It's my young self, my little self talking to my adult self like, you keep trying to silence me because I'm trying to tell you the truth about what's going on. If only you could see the real you. You're hurt, you're fighting for your worth. Like, you already have worth. You don't need to fight for it. You don't need to prove anything to anybody. Just do your music and be you. Don't worry about this like facade that you have to put on to be the best singer or be the best vocalist or have the best production or this and that. Just be raw, be you. And that's kind of like where I was in that process. And then it was, you write your words so you can heal the pain, but you still hide behind your vein. And again, it's putting on that facade and that face of like, I'm happy, I'm content, I'm fine, when really inside you're breaking down, and you're kind of like, who am I? What am I doing here? Where is this going? What is this becoming? It's that realization, in a way. Again, we go back into the pre-chorus. This time we kind of switch it up because we have a continuation. Tell me why you feel the need to leave. I thought maybe you and me could be something nobody else could reach, but you gotta let me in. And so I continued off of that to, so maybe I can understand what's wrong. Is it really that easy to just move on? Tell me why and where did it all go wrong? You just gotta let me in. And again, it's my younger self talking to my artist self, like, let me in, let me understand, let me try to help. It's that Pisces that, just very like, girl, I can help heal you. I swear I can. So this is a very Pisces song, girl. I didn't even realize it till right now. Then we go back into the chorus of the O's and then the running. I originally wrote in here, it's instead of the running, it's, but you just keep running. And then, yeah, you just keep running, just to kind of create a little bit more context on it. But again, I went into the studio, recorded this, and I was like, you know what? I really feel like we need to kind of strip it back on the chorus, that there doesn't need to be too much going on. So I stripped it back. And then my favorite part about this song has to be the bridge. I fucking love this bridge because I wrote this bridge crying and sobbing. It felt so liberating and healing at the same time to just be able to kind of talk about something that I felt like I was scared to kind of go there and talk about. And again, it's my younger self and my artist self talking to each other and having this conversation. And this part goes, that's maybe why we cried a million times. Maybe why we're fighting for our lives. I can't reach the stars not by your side. Don't tell me that we need some space. And I can't face the fall from way up here. I feel so alone to face the fear. But once I realize the end is near, I forget you. It's like, to me, like, this is just like so heartbreaking. Again, like, talking to my younger self, talking to the person that I am outside of the artistry, and like tapping into the emotion and the turmoil that I kind of went through, and like who I really am outside of being an artist and putting on this facade that everything is okay. I'm an ugly crier, so I don't want to do that. But I really feel like this kind of like taps into that. So like that's maybe why we cried a million times. Maybe why we're fighting for our lives. I can't reach the stars not by your side. Don't tell me that we need some space. It is a cry for help. It's like a plead. Like, don't leave me. I do need you to move on. And I don't want you to feel like you're not needed or you're not necessary. But I also want to reach these goals. I want to get to this place in my life. And then I can't face the fall from way up here. I don't want to be alone. I want my younger self by my side. I don't want to kind of like lose myself in this fame and this whatever that's going to happen that I'm hoping for. I feel so alone to face the fear. But once I realize the end is near, again, getting close to reaching that fame and that fortune and where I want to be, which I feel like I've been multiple times. And I also feel like where some people have fucked me over and I kind of lost that, I've now done it to myself twice. It's kind of like getting to that point where you're almost there and you're like, I'm afraid I'm just going to lose everything else that I have outside of this. And then it's like, not wanting to do that. So you kind of like back off. At the end of this song, though, we go into like the ooze of the end of the bridge, and then going into the last chorus, we kind of do the chorus as well as the chorus B is what I call the bridge, because we bring the bridge back in to kind of overlap on the chorus. And it's again that's maybe why we cried a million times, maybe why we fighting for our lives. I can't reach the stars not by your side. Don't tell me that we need some space. I can't face the fall from way up here. Once I feel so alone to face the fear. But once I realize the end is near, I'll forget you. And then the song just kind of coos out from there. And yeah, it's a song of self-reflection and revelation and fear and honesty and hope all in one, I kind of feel. So yeah, that's Runnin'. Questions? No. I feel like I'm still in the same place. I feel like I haven't found the answer yet. Am I more content with where I'm going and who I am? I feel like I am. I feel like, again, writing this song, I was like 27, 28. And again, this is like, if you are into astrology and stuff like that, this is kind of like that retrograde that you go through between 27 and 30, 31. That's kind of like that big, like, what the fuck am I doing? What is going on? Why is everything negative? Why is everything happening to me? It's kind of like the woe is me time. It's also where a lot of people feel like they're having their like quarter life crisis. Again, like, I feel like I don't know all the answers, but I feel like I'm at least content now, moving forward, being happy with who I am, and understanding and realizing that the little me will always be a part of me, and there's no letting go of that. There will be letting go of and shedding of other people around me, people who, you know, on one hand either don't get to move forward with me because they're just not on that path and that journey. Some people are in that predicament, and some people are in the predicament that they will continue with me. And so it's like, I hope that at the end of the day, no matter who I lose and who continues to move on, that I at least just have myself, and I'm at least confident in knowing that I'll always have myself to count on, you know?
Hold on, I'm trying to figure out how I'm gonna word this.
Okay.
Um, what do you think could be your next step to finding the answer that you're looking for?
I think the next step to finding the answer that I'm looking for is hitting it head on and going right for it. I don't think I'm necessarily going to unlock that next piece until I'm there facing it, head on. So I feel like there's kind of not like a way to set myself up to know beforehand. Unless someone's got like a crystal ball or something I can look into. Maybe one of my rocks. My little moons. My little stones. You would really think that maybe these two entities were the same person and they could move that way. But, you know, truthfully, I have gone through a lot of trials and tribulations with family and friends and stuff along the way that have told me many times, like, oh, you've changed and you this and you that, and you don't put other people first. Now you're starting to put yourself first. And it's funny because like my whole life I always put everybody else before me, and it wasn't until 2018, after that relationship with my XXX, I guess I should say, um that I was kind of like, I'm gonna start putting me first. I'm gonna do this. And I don't think that people really understood, like, that it was something that I had to do because I had been so selfless for so long, wanting to always help, wanting to be that person, to be there. And it was like, once I took that ability to kind of like be a bit selfish and focus on me in a way of like my music and stuff, immediately it was like, oh, you've changed, you're this, you're that, blah, 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 blah. And so, again, part of the imposter syndrome is like, feeding into what all these other people are saying and like telling myself that I'm not what I'm becoming. It's not who I am, doubting myself in ways that I never thought that I would, because the noise on the outside is too loud from the noise on the inside. And again, it's like trying to listen to that inner self, that inner child, of like, are you ready to move on? And what if you're alone? And what if there is nobody else by your side? Like, what happens then? Like, are you okay with losing everything? I also feel like this song was written in a time where I was heavily into writing my memoir, which I still am writing. It's just very hard to write the memoir because it brings up a lot of trauma. And again, this was like one of those things where I feel like I've been very honest in a lot of my songs where it's like they come from personal perspectives. But I also feel like there's some songs where they deal with trauma, and I've scattered them throughout my catalog on like bullying and things that happened when I was growing up and this and that. And I kind of really didn't want to touch too much onto those things. Writing about love and breakups and loss and sex and stuff like that is kind of like more the facade, Anthony, because I can be playful and I can kind of like, here's the shiny thing over here, but also like, here's me dealing with all this trauma. And I feel like it's very much a Pisces thing to always want to help people, but not give them the shit that you're going through. And so in that respect, this song was one of those like very eye-opening songs for me. Like in my first album, I wrote a song, This Is Me, and then I wrote a song called Motivation. And both of those songs are very much self-reflecting songs as well. One is, based on my past in the beginning, and then the ending one is based on like me moving on in my future and having that like, you can do this, you don't need anybody else, you don't need to be told who you are and what you're doing. And if anyone's going to doubt you, just keep going, like you're your own motivation. And I feel like this is kind of like that song in between those two, like it's the self-reflection of the future and what could be, but it's also the trauma of the past as well. I will say though, with this song in particular, there are other songs that I had written, and I'm gonna be putting out, when I put out my memoir, there's gonna be an EP that goes along with it, and the EP is gonna be called Onyx. I have always said that I wanted to name an album or an EP Onyx because that stone is so special to me. Yes, it was my mother who got me into onyx. But I was very much captivated by it because an onyx stone is very, no matter what light is shine on it, even in its darkest, like even in complete darkness, it always reflects light back. And I feel like that is just so, one, it's just so positive, but also it's so strong and motivational and like passion. It feels like passion and like power. You know what I'm saying? Like you withhold all of the light that you're meant to exploit. You're all the light you're meant to expose is held within. And so that's why Onyx is kind of like the title for that EP, because the memoir is very self-reflecting. It's very trauma-bearing. It's just a lot of things that I've gone through that I've never opened up about, that I'm being very upfront and honest about, and I want people to know. So there's a couple of songs that are going to go on to an EP, and they're going to go along with that album. So if this kind of these songs are the things that you're looking for, and you're looking for more trauma and me being soul bearing about some things in my past, which I don't feel like everyone has to write about, it's coming. There are some songs coming, so look out for that. But anyway, that is it for this video. Thank you guys so much for being on this journey with me. I am so thankful that I get to be here and talk about this EP, because this EP means so much, and I hope you guys love it as much as I do. But I have another video for you, so I'll check you out over there. And in the meantime, bye for now.